Ambassador Grenell joins us. He's in Palm Springs, California. Good evening, sir. First off, we're glad that you're an American. You have time for us on Newsmax. What'd you think of the speech last night?
Greg, great to see you. Thanks for having me. I thought that the speech was classic Donald Trump, really talking about all the things that the president has been able to accomplish, from trade agreements to, all sorts of pushing on defense spending in Europe. All these issues that I care deeply about that he's winning on. We're really making a difference, I think, in NATO and in how we have talks on trade with the Europeans, and I think the Europeans are noticing it.
You know, you've spent a lot of time around the president. I think, from my vantage point, and I've met him a few times, he's a lot more sophisticated than a lot of people in America give him credit for. You know, we know his appeal to red state America, and he can talk to just about anybody, but he was an international businessman for a long time. He's been married to 2 European women. He does well in those circles. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, he absolutely does. I think he is first and foremost a businessman, and he thinks like a businessman, which is reading the room and dealing with leaders, whoever they are. And I think that he does that. He kind of accepts the leader for whoever they are and tries to negotiate on behalf of the American people. Look, I would love to debate all day long the people who want to talk about his style, because I think that the evidence shows that his style actually works. We'll just take, for instance, the defense spending, $130 billion in new defense spending. Now, this is something that the previous administrations, not just President Obama, but also President Bush, they had a different style in negotiating, and they didn't get defense spending raised. They did not get the amount of money that's coming in for European NATO countries spending more on defense. That directly benefits the American people. So I like to all day long debate the style question, because I think President Trump's style actually works on behalf of the American people.
Yeah, it's wild. We saw early in the presidency, remember when he pushed his way in front of that group with the NATO ambassador? I mean, they've never seen anything like this. And I believe they admire him, but they are a little bit confused at the same time. I mean, they just never had a figure like this. We said he runs in those circles. He's comfortable, but boy, he's something totally new.
Yeah, I would say this. I spent 8 years at the UN, and I can tell you that there's only one country that gets in trouble for putting forward itself and being aggressive about its own policies, and that's the United States. Everybody else does it. Everybody else tries to push their way forward. We just have a president who's really good at it, so I don't think that you can hate the player. If you hate the game, that's a different thing. But the fact of the matter is Donald Trump is quite good at this game. I also want to pick up on one thing, Greg. I really believe that President Trump and Angela Merkel have a really good relationship. It's not warm and fuzzy. They're not going to go hang out in a spa together. But I will say that there's incredible respect. President Trump looks across the table and he sees a woman who has led Europe. She's got the largest economy in Europe. She's got a $69 billion trade surplus over on the Americans. I've heard President Trump say, look, I don't blame you for having this Germany first economic model. I don't blame you for being really aggressive and ignoring past U.S. presidents. I just have to play a tougher game with you now. She's been quite good at defending Germany. You look at, they don't pay their NATO bill, for instance. Yeah. The Germans don't. And yet there's 50,000 American troops protecting them. And they're buying Russian gas at this incredible level, so that while they're not paying their NATO bill, they're feeding the beast. They get away with it. You can't blame them for not wanting to spend that much money.
Very interesting. I totally get it. And by the way, yeah, you're right. We act in our self-interest, and somehow the United States is dinged for it when every other country is doing the exact same thing. That's kind of interesting. Wow, 8 years, did you say, at the United Nations?
8 years, a lot of time.
That's a long time, and the place, let's face it, is basically dysfunctional. Listen, I know you're doing some other important work. They know in the diplomatic community that you're tight with the president, correct?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think I've been able to do a little work in Kosovo and Serbia. The president appointed me as special envoy for Kosovo, Serbia, because I think there was a desire to have somebody involved, and I was in Europe. So maybe.
But it's definitely a plus. Ambassador Grenell, thank you for joining us. We'll have you back soon.
Greg, thanks.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing news channel, now in 65 million homes. Get Newsmax TV on all the major cable systems or go to newsmaxtv.com and click on the Find Newsmax tab to locate us. Remember, Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.